A new area has embarked on large-scale construction and placed equal emphasis on relieving Beijing of non-capital functions. He said the focus of work has shifted to high-quality construction, high-level management, and high-quality development. President Xi took the high-speed train to Xinwan New Area. He first inspected the construction and operation of Xinwan Station, which is the first major infrastructure project in a new area and is of symbolic significance. He also visited a local community where he stressed the need to promote the modernization of urban governance and build a city suitable for work and livability. While visiting the exhibition center for the planning of the new area, he stressed the importance of ecological protection. To the U.S., testing times seem to be ahead for the U.S. economy as Tuesday's meetings between President Joe Biden and congressional leaders on a debt ceiling ended with no solution. With the nation hurtling towards a June 1st deadline to reach a deal or risk default, there are apprehensions that the country may end up defaulting on its debt obligations. For more updates on the debt ceiling talks, let's cross to our reporter John Terrett in New York. Hi, John. Good to see you. So did they actually achieve any breakthrough in the debt ceiling task? I really can't believe that the default is really coming.
I know, it's incredible. When you don't live in the United States, it is shocking to think that they do this, but they do this all the time. And what happened was there was a meeting of the White House and the Oval Office yesterday, Tuesday at 20 hours GMT. President Biden was there, leading congressional representatives and leaders of both parties were there. And at the end of it, they came out and it turns out they were completely stalled. Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, the leading Republican at the moment, said there was no movement. So we've been looking for some kind of conciliatory language, a rather more, relaxed approach, less dogma on display, and it simply was not evident. Now, the Republicans seem to have the upper hand, it seems to me. They want deep public spending cuts, including on some of President Biden's key initiatives, such as the Inflation Reduction Act and student loan forgiveness, which the Republicans dislike enormously. And they also want to claw back some of the money that was given at the height of COVID-19 to the states, but which has gone unspent. For his part, President Biden wants what he calls a clean bill. He says, look, Congress, you spent this money, so you do your job and you raise the debt ceiling as you are supposed to do and as you have done on many, many, many other occasions. Now, it's important for our viewers, Guanxing, to understand we're not talking about budget negotiations here, okay? They're not saying, okay, if we trim this and we trim that, we can come to an agreement. This is money that has already been spent. It's gone. It's on America's credit card, and it totals more than $31 trillion. And it comes to this incredibly high level because of President Trump's tax cuts for the rich when he was in power, and because of all that spending in order to alleviate COVID-19. If the deadline isn't raised by around June the 1st, when we think America will run out of money, then it will hurt the US economy, it'll hurt the stock market, it'll hurt Americans' pensions, and it'll hurt people overseas who've invested here who will be expecting interest rate payments that they will not get. Guanxing, they're going to try again on Friday.
I believe they tried their best. And John, can you tell us about the latest the US CPI figure? Why is it so important to the market?
Yes, I like your optimism, by the way. I think it may be a bit misplaced, I'm telling you, but we'll see how it all works out. Now, the CPI is inflation, okay? It's what Americans spend in the stores and the gas stations, month on month and year on year. And these days, it is the single most important piece of economic data, okay? It even trumps the monthly jobs report, and that's because the CPI feeds in, as does its sister report, the PPI, to the decision making by the central bank when it comes to raising interest rates. Now, what did we get in the month of April? Well, pretty much exactly what we were expecting. Month on month, in other words, from March to April, it was up 0.4%, which is what we thought, but that's more than it was from February to March, which was 1.1%, so a lot more, in fact. However, the yearly rate was 4.9%, not 5%, so that's down a little bit. The average weekly earnings up 1.1%, and the core rate, which is when you take out energy and food, it was at 5.5%. So inflation is down from 9% to 5% now, which is good. It doesn't really feel like a very important issue at the moment, to be honest with you. The markets rose only a little bit when the news came out, and the Federal Reserve, that must make its next decision on interest rates, doesn't meet now until the 13th and the 14th
At
of
least
June.
that's very big progress. Well, thank you very much for filling us in on that. Our John Terry live for us in New York. The third Beyond International Technology Innovation Expo commenced in China's Macau on Wednesday. The event serves as a platform to link tech startups, investors, and scientists. With offline activities being fully resumed this year, our reporter Lily Liu visited the exhibition and talked to Jason Ho, the co-founder of Beyond Expo. Take a listen.
This is day one at Beyond 2023. As you can see and hear from around me, all the hustle and bustle going on here. This is one major technology featured forum in the region, here being held in Macau as well. We're looking at hundreds of panelists, industry insiders, academics, business people, scientists, and technology expertise. They were gathered here to discuss how technology and innovation can change the world and shape our future. And this is really a platform to get together business startups, technology companies, and venture capital, industry insiders, and authorities. So we have a lot to expect from this year's Beyond Expo 2023. Joining me now is my guest of the day, Jason Ho, co-founder of Beyond Expo. Great to have you here, Jason.
Thank you
I know Jason has a super packed schedule. I just grabbed him from another event. So Jason, after 3 years, Beyond Expo is now welcoming a full offline forum, welcoming guests from around the world. Help us to understand the theme of this year. You said technology redefined.
Right.
This is a very great timing to talk about technology and how you redefine it, because especially as technologies like ChatGPT and Midjourney is shocking the world. I mean, they're nothing new, but they are, for the first time, we're realizing that maybe the future we have been picturing has already arrived.
Of course.
So help us to understand why you decided to use this as your theme.
So we believe that nowadays technology innovation has been growing so rapidly. So I think we have to, the technology redefining is because we believe that technologies has been disrupting a lot of different industries. So I think that's why we chose this theme, because we felt like every single year it's going to be so much different than last year. So I guess that's the reason why we chose this theme.
So tell us, what is your expectation and what would be special about Beyond Expo 2023? I know you wanted to this event to serve as a platform to connect business startups, connect with venture capital maybe, and maybe authorities and policymakers. So what kind of efforts and what kind of special programs have you designed to achieve this purpose?
Right, so this year we actually have a lot of different events. So besides our expo and the forums, we also have a lot of business matchmaking, and also we have VC meetup and demo day. So it's more about value. So we hope that we could provide enough value for our exhibitors or people who are coming to our event. So that's the purpose, or that's the end result we wanted to see, is to provide enough value to the companies and all those people who come to the event.
What is your goal? I mean, or let's say, have you set up an aim for people to understand and not just increase their awareness of Beyond Expo? Like, what do you want people to think about? The first thing that they come up when they think of Macau or think of Beyond Expo?
I think it's gonna be, if there's only one word, it's gonna be fun. It's fun. It's fun to meet people. It's fun to hang out here. I think if I have to choose one word, it's going to be fun.
So we'll be keeping a close eye on this, on what is happening here. This exhibition hall features on 3 topics, that is sustainability, consumer technology, and life sciences. So we're going to be taking all over the place to check out what is new in the technology field and how tech innovation is going to change our lives. So stay tuned for more to come here at the Beyond Expo with CGTN.
Also, Lily spoke to some Chinese enterprises at the expo to find out how they are injecting vitality into various industries globally with their technology and products. One such company she spoke to is XAG, a company that uses technologies like drones and artificial intelligence for fostering agricultural advances. Take a listen.
We have been working in the field for more than 10 years, and we are helping farmers in different aspects. For instance, we are helping farmers to easily collecting the data from the farms and the crops, and to help them to make scientific and intelligent decisions, and also as well as using the drones and robots to do precision executions in the field, like crop spraying, seeding, fertilizing, irrigation, etc. So what we're trying to do is bring technologies to farm management, so farmers can also enjoy the benefits of technology today.
Earlier, we spoke to Zuo Ruizhi, Assistant Manager of China State Construction International, to understand how various stakeholders in the construction industry have joined hands to make cities carbon neutral.
In achieving carbon neutrality of cities, it is important to coordinate innovation between building, energy, and transportation, which are highly interconnected. Innovation in building design, such as the use of low carbon materials and energy-efficient technologies, can significantly lower energy consumption and carbon emissions. Building owners can also invest in renewable energy sources like solar panels or wind turbines to produce clean energy.
And that would do it for this short edition of Global Business here on CGTN. Coming up next is our live program about the launch of China's Tianzhou 6 cargo spaceship. Stay tuned.
This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Hello there and welcome to our special coverage of China's latest space mission, the launch of Tianzhou 6. Now you're watching live footage from Wenchang in Hainan province. China will soon send a cargo ship loaded with supplies to its Tiangong space station. The launch of Tianzhou 6 will be the first spaceflight since China's space station entered into the application and development stage. Now, the cargo ship is expected to be launched at 21:22 Beijing time. That's minutes away from now. It's carried by a Long March 7 Y6 rocket from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site. And now supplies on board will include 70 kilograms of fresh fruits, about twice the amount delivered by the Tianzhou 5 cargo ship. And now, following the latest for us from the launch pad is our reporter Zheng Yibing. He's live there at the Wenchang spacecraft launch site in South China's Hainan province. Good to see you there, Yibing. So mission specialists have been performed the last-minute checks, the final checks on the ship as well as the rocket. And the launch is now counting down to its final phase. Tell us how things are going there.
Well, yes, Mom, here at the launch site, everyone is counting down and looking forward to the lift-off just a few minutes from now, because this is the first launch mission for China's Tiangong space station after it went into the operation phase. And it will send a large amount of supplies, like you said, larger than ever, to the space station, to the taikonauts, and to the experimental modules. And their total weight, according to the official figure, is about 5.8 tons, covering life supplies, propellants, and experimental devices and samples. So it covers the mission, like the expert we interviewed said, a transitioning mission linking to the future. Now, what do we see here? Right behind me is a launch pad with the 7th Long March 7 carrier rocket. It carries the 6th Tianzhou cargo ship, the biggest ever cargo ship built by China's aerospace industry. The launch sequence is proceeding, and although the weather in recent days are not good, it is changing for good, and there has been the constant thunderstorms before today. And based on our experience just a year ago when the Tianzhou 4 cargo ship was launched from here, both weather conditions are quite similar. So after the completion of the refueling process in the last rehearsal yesterday morning, the staff here are quite confident. Now the launch control sequence is initiated. We're counting down to the lift-off, and we send the best wishes to this mission. Back to you, Mamang.
And certainly we do hope the weather will hold. It looks now like all systems go. Thank you so much, our Zheng Yibing, for us from the launch pad. In the meantime, CGTN's Zheng Chunying tells us more about some details on the Tianzhou 6 cargo spacecraft.
The Tianzhou 6 cargo ship is actually the most capable space cargo ship currently in service. And let me walk you through some of the key figures here. Weighing 13.5 tons in total, the Tianzhou 6 will be the first cargo craft of its series to boost its loading capacity from 6.9 tons to 7.4 tons. It'll carry 700 kilograms of propellant for the CSS. And the cargo spacecraft consists of two parts. The larger cargo module has a storage capacity of 20% bigger than the previous Tianzhou 5, and it will also carry more than 700 kilograms of materials for scientific experiment on board the space station. And the Tianzhou 6 cargo ship also contains some daily necessities for the astronauts. There's about 70 kilograms of fresh fruit to be delivered, and roughly twice the weight of that carried up by the Tianzhou 5 craft.
That's my colleague Zheng Chunying for us there. And now here in our studio is Professor Yang Yuguang. He is Vice Chair of the Space Transportation Committee of the International Astronautical Federation. Always great to have you with us, Professor, on our program. So we're just minutes away from blast-off, and all things final preparations are complete, just waiting for that big moment. Help us understand the significance of this launch mission.
This is really a very important mission for the operation phase, as Yibing and Chen has already mentioned. You know, that's during the technology demonstration phase and during the construction phase, we do have some uncertainty in the design and also in some of the very special cases in outer space. So we remain some resources to the platform or the bus, the spacecraft bus itself. Today, you can see, as Yibing and Chen has already mentioned, the proportion of the payload has already increased from 6.9 tons to 7.4 tons. So this is really a great challenge for technicians. You see that the mission profile is very complex, from the ground to the outer space, and then orbit maneuver to the space station, and then docking. So this is really complex, and to increase the payload, it is very meaningful, but also raise some technology risky for the mission itself.
Right, 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes now
Yes.
from ignition. So you mentioned this 20% increase in payload.
In
what
volume.
does that mean in China's future missions?
It means that it can have more resources remain for the scientific research instruments, and also you see that the capacity is the capability is also increased. So there are more proportion of payload, including those not only for the daily life and also for the scientific research. So it brings more chances for China and other countries.
And now our space scientists there are keeping a close eye on the weather in that area because there has been frequent showers, as Yibing just mentioned. Things were getting windy. Will that hamper our launch mission?
That's a very important factor for the launch. You see that the wind is much stronger in Wenchang Satellite Launch Center rather comparing with Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. So we must compare.
1 minute countdown.
Yeah, T-minus 1 minute and counting. So at this moment, we can see from the video of the launch pad, and the white vapor has almost disappeared. It means that the fueling procedure has already ended. You see from this figure, the launch vehicle is using the propellant called the cryogenic propulsion system.
40 seconds countdown.
Exactly.
So right, this mission is expected to resupply the Tiangong space station, and it will be the first such mission after it was completed last November. Less than 30 seconds.
You can see all the rotational platforms have already been withdrawn
And
from the
scientists
vehicle.
there are really holding their breaths
Yes.
for the blast off.
The lift
Now,
off with
10
automatic
seconds
back.
countdown.
8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1，点火！点火！
Ignition. Blast off.
2时2分0秒，动5秒。
So 6 engines, 6 YF-100 engines ignite at the same moment. 4 on the boosters with 1 engine each, and then 2 engines in the core stage. And at this moment, the first critical action will be the pitch over, which means that it change its direction from going upward to the east, southeast direction.
So when can we expect this Tianzhou mission, the spacecraft, to be docked with our Tiangong space station?
That depends on the plan, the mission profile. Usually, during the last Tianzhou mission, we make a road record about 2 more hours from the liftoff to the docking. Maybe several hours. It depends on the design of the mission itself. And at this moment, you can see the video from the camera mounted on the fuselage of the vehicle itself. And you can see the 2 boosters.
And it looks like a bit cloudy in that area, and this
Not very heavy. You can still see the flame of the first stage.
It's gradually fading away from our side. It's getting farther away.
Yeah. And also, from the video cameras in the ground stations, we can monitor the trajectory of the vehicle itself. And also, we have readers to monitor the trajectory. And we also have the sensors on board the vehicle itself. Now you can see the video that, as I mentioned, the camera mounted in the fuselage of the vehicle, and you can see the 2 boosters and the flame of the rocket engines.
It gives us different angles and different perspectives to see this mission up close.
And the next critical step will be the separation of the 4 boosters. You can see that soon, about less than 3 minutes.
Right. And this moment reminds us of the Tianzhou 5 mission, and that you mentioned to me just now, that it made records in being the fastest mission to be connected with the Tiangong.
Yeah. And you can see the flame has the shape of the flame has already changed because it's already almost in a vacuum condition.
Right,
because
isn't that amazing to see how the flames and how the color of it changes as they go up higher?
So it uses kerosene and liquid oxygen as the propellant. You can see the flame is a little bit in blue color.
Right. So again, what is on board this Tianzhou 6 mission? We mentioned there's going to be fuel, a lot of food. What are some of the other supplies?
As I mentioned, the scientific research instruments and also some backup parts for the life support system of our Tiangong space station, and also some parts maybe for the spacesuits. You know that for each time we conducted an EVA. Oh, you can see that the boosters are already separated.
Right, separation
Great.
phase.
So the next step will be the separation of the first stage.
So the rocket boosters are now being released and they've detached from the main body of the rocket.
Great. The first stage also separated.
Right.
Okay, you can see that the second stage has already ignited very normally.
Right. Well, this process is, of course, crucial in sending large vehicles into space and helping protect the payload.
And the next, as you mentioned, the next step will be the jettisoning of the payload fairing, because it is already out of the atmosphere. Oh, this is a camera inside the payload fairing.
Right.
You can see the great.
Now the fairing is separating.
Jettisoned.
And then there will come the first stage separation.
This is already, which means that the altitude is already high enough and do not have much aerodynamic forces acting on the body. So it do not need the payload fairing and to save the energy.
So the rocket itself has the power to push itself against the atmosphere. Is that correct?
It has the power, but the aerodynamic forces acting on the spaceship is already low enough because strong aerodynamic forces will damage the spaceship.
So as we watch very closely on this launch mission, the 3 taikonauts on board the Tiangong space station, they are also anticipating new supplies because we understand that this mission will resupply them with the final weeks of their mission on board the Tiangong space station.
Probably
they've been up there for some 5 months already.
Usually for any astronauts, either the ISS or China's Tiangong space station, the visiting of the cargo ship will be the happiest time for them because fresh food arrived.
You've got parcel.
And also gifts from family members.
Oh, they have that on board as well?
Exactly. And also, you know that probably our Shenzhou 15 crew are also watching the live coverage. Probably.
They have access to our CGTN or some other?
Actually speaking, the flight center.
Flight center.
Yeah. You know that we have the Tianlian data relay satellite. It has very high speed and can transmitting the videos from the ground to the station. So they not only watching the live coverage of the rocket launch, but also you know that during the Winter Olympic Games and during the Olympic Games, they can also watch the all kinds of matches.
Sure. What are some of the preparations that they are making to welcome their new supplies and to welcome the Shenzhou 6 to dock with the Tiangong?
It's really complex. You see that for the docking, even the docking technology is already very practical, but still a very risky operation. So the attitude, the orbit of the Tiangong space station must in the right position. And moreover, you see that you know that the Tianzhou cargo ship needs several orbit maneuvers and all conducted automatically. So we must monitor its status, and finally we have the final approach. Must be well monitored by not only those on the ground, our ground staff, and also monitored by the Tiangong space station. We also have the sensors to measure the relative distance, the relative angle, and also relative attitude of each vehicle.
As we speak now, Professor, help us understand where this rocket is. What's the altitude at this moment?
This moment is flying above the Pacific Ocean. Actually speaking, maybe to the east of the Philippines, I believe. And at this moment, it's already, you know, that's several minutes already passed. It's already high enough, already much higher than 100 kilometers. So I believe it's already near to close its 2 fixed engines. You see there are 4 engines on the second stage. You can see 2 of them from the left screen, from the camera. And 2 fixed engines will be shut down first, and then the other 2 vernier engines.
Yeah. Well, if you've just joined us, this is our special coverage, live coverage of the launch of China's latest Tianzhou 6 mission. This is a cargo spacecraft. It will resupply astronauts with their fuel, food, and everyday necessities on board the Tiangong space station. And this is the first such mission to take place since China's Tiangong space station was completed last November.
As I mentioned, on the second stage, we have 4 rocket engines called YF-115. Each has a thrust about 18 tons, and the 2 of them on the opposite direction will be shut down first to decrease the thrust. And with a smaller thrust, the accuracy will increase. So that is the reason we use this operation. And then